Red lines are meant to be respected, but tonight one was crossed. Benjamin Netanyahu made a move that left no doubt. He ignored every warning sent by Ibrahim Traoré, and Traoré didn't hold back. He responded publicly, with ice in his voice and a determination that sent ripples across borders. "No more warnings," he declared. "The time for action has arrived." This was not a symbolic posture or political theater. It was a declaration of intent. Within minutes, global headlines shifted. Diplomats stopped mid-sentence. Analysts deleted their drafts. A continent recognized that what began as a dispute had escalated into a crisis. Trauma and pride intertwined to make this moment seismic. Africa was watching. The world was watching. And Biden, Putin, Macron, they were all listening to what Traoré intended to do next. Netanyahu's action, the one that shattered diplomatic safeguards, was clear and undeniable. Earlier this week, he authorized covert intelligence operations near West African critical mineral sites. Satellite images confirmed surveillance drones were mapping territories where Burkina Faso and its neighbors are developing strategic gold and rare earth infrastructure. That crossing of security and sovereignty was the point of no return for Traoré. He had issued 3 prior warnings: private memos, diplomatic cables, and public statements urging restraint. But they were ignored. By escalating without consultation, Netanyahu bypassed the protocols that exist precisely to prevent this kind of tension. Burkina Faso's foreign ministry described it as an act of intrusion, not intelligence. It was more than spying. It was ownership by another name. When leaders intervene covertly on African soil, they tread into the territory of dominance. Traoré viewed this as a direct attack on the continent's autonomy. The clear red line: no external force may violate the territorial integrity of a sovereign African state. Israel overstepped, and Traoré decided words were no longer enough. The announcement from Traoré was broadcast live. He spoke with controlled fury. "Your drones are not welcome. Your maps are not authorized. You cross the line, there will be consequences." He didn't specify targets: municipalities, communications networks, defense alliances. He only added, "We will take action, not tomorrow, not at some indeterminate future, today." The tone shocked diplomats. The international media paused regional briefings to include his statement. In capitals like Washington, Paris, and Moscow, foreign ministries issued status updates. In African capitals, envoys were summoned. A ripple of urgency spread through embassies, not because they expected war, but because war seemed possible. Allies whispered of economic sanctions, diplomatic downgrades, or African defensive realignment. In Ethiopia, Kenya, Ghana, and South Africa, officials were said to have convened emergency meetings. The message was being taken seriously. Africa's sovereignty is non-negotiable. Netanyahu's team responded by labeling Traoré emotional and uninformed. But their words fell flat. It was no longer about narratives. It was about a line crossed and a leader ready to respond. Within hours of the response, Burkina Faso implemented strategic countermeasures. First, satellite jamming systems were deployed in key border regions. It was a silent but powerful cipher. No more spying over their horizon. Second, military advisors and air defense specialists were quietly invited from non-Western partners to assess vulnerabilities. Neither Chinese nor Russian forces, but strategic planners who prioritize sovereignty over dominance. Third, Burkina Faso suspended dozens of mineral exploration licenses tied to foreign firms with suspected Israeli links. These are the sources of much global demand: gold, uranium, and rare earth minerals critical for modern technology. Deposits the size of small nations were put off limits. Meanwhile, embassies in Ouagadougou, Accra, and Abidjan began content filtering on communications between defense ministries and foreign agencies. Traoré's message was clear: if one power oversteps, the cost will be immediate, technological, economic, and strategic. It wasn't political posturing, it was proactive sovereignty, and others watched and took notes. The global shockwave was swift. Across Africa, national media shifted from entertainment to sovereignty. In South Africa, SABC ran expert panels on African defense autonomy. In Nigeria, channels debated who owns our minerals. The AU's bureau issued a terse statement urging restraint on both sides. Meanwhile, in Europe, policymakers flagged new risk assessments designating West Africa as a strategic flashpoint. In Tel Aviv, the security cabinet scrambled. The intrusion was no longer discreet. In Washington, intelligence briefers met with regional commanders to evaluate their own outposts. On Wall Street, the share prices for tech and mining firms with exposure to the region dipped. Bond ratings adjusted. It was clear that when a red line is crossed, when a sovereign state says take action, the recalculation spanned politics, finance, and defense strategy. No one expected Traoré to answer a diplomatic breach so speedily and so firmly. To African nations, the message was simple and resounding. Sovereignty is a diamond, unbreakable when united. Traoré issued a call for continent-wide vigilance. Our mineral corridors, our skies, our borders, they're sacred. If one border is violated, all are threatened. He suggested forming a coordinated defense intelligence partnership among West African states, not aligned with any outside bloc, nor hosted by any foreign power. He referenced observatories monitoring unauthorized aerial and cyber activity. He hinted at regulatory frameworks that ensure resource contracts are fully transparent with political oversight. He stated that for any future transnational security engagement, in Afghanistan, the Red Sea, or our own Sahel, there would be no permits granted without parliamentary vote. His words sent chills through both local parliaments and foreign diplomats. For once, unity and strength were spoken not in slogans, but in tech, policy, and law. This is a turning point, not just for Burkina Faso or for Netanyahu. It marks the moment when passive diplomacy gives way to resolute sovereignty. When threats meet implementation, when warnings meet consequences. Ibrahim Traoré's message was more than defiant. It was strategic. Africa watched. The world is watching. Now everything has changed. What was once hidden now stands exposed. The red line is clear. The action has begun.